What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to take a look at all the new Shadows cards from Mass Mutation. All the cards are out now, so we are doing our usual thing, whereby we run through every single card in the new set. We have made it to Shadows. I will of course link the previous videos in the description. We're not doing a deep dive into every card, that would take literally hours. What we're doing is running through all the new cards and giving our impressions thereof. So, let's start off with NITHING. Now, this is a common card, so it's going to actually appear quite a bit. It is a 2-power, 0-armor creature, and when you play it, you steal 1 amber for each forged key your opponent has. I mean, look, as soon as they forge 1 key, this is basically an Urchin, and everyone thinks Urchin is awesome. And when they forge 2 keys, you're going to be stealing 2 amber. It's not one of those cards which is going to change the game, but it does what Shadows does. It's a little bit of stealing that's going to appear in your deck, and it's going to be played, and it's going to be useful. Demo Thief. Now, this is what we see in a lot of the houses this time round. We saw the bots in Logos, and the Knights in Sanctum. We have the Thieves in Shadows. And of course the deal here is, I mean, if we start with Demo Thief, right? 2 power, 0 armor with elusive. The first time this creature is attacked each turn, no damage is dealt. And when it's destroyed, you steal 1 amber. So here, nice and simply, we have a whole bunch of thieves, 1 to represent each of the non-Shadows houses, and they all change a little bit, but they all have elusive. You'll also notice that Demo Thief is very similar to Demo Bot and Demo Knight. Look how that worked out. So Demo Thief, when it's destroyed, you steal 1 amber. This is the dis one, but it actually fits really nicely into Shadows because of the whole destroyed thing, though it is very weak. Dino Thief is a 4-power creature with elusive. They all have elusive. And when you play, you may exalt Dino Thief. That is to say, put an amber on it from the common pool. And if you do, deal 3 damage to a creature. So you're getting a bit of damage on the board. Lyco Thief is the untamed one. 3 power, 0 armor with elusive and skirmish. Skirmish means that if you start a fight, you will survive the fight. And the weird thing is, this is literally Knuckles Bolton. Now, these are all special rare cards, they're not going to come around very often, etc, etc. But this is identical, except it's a mutant thief rather than an elf thief. Although, to be fair, we've already seen so many cards in this set which either help or hinder mutants. The fact that it's a mutant will actually make a pretty big deal. Sacro Thief is your Sanctum card. 4 power, 2 armor with elusive. So you don't gain a skill or a keyword, but you do gain the 2 armor. Techno Thief is a 3 power, 0 armor creature with elusive. And when you reap, you discard a card from your hand. And if you do, you wouldn't only if there's no cards in hand, you draw a card. So this will be your Logos version of it. And then Xeno Thief is a 3-power creature with elusive. And when you fight, you look at the top 3 cards of your deck, put 1 in your hand and 1 on the bottom of your deck. And if you're starting to get a little bit of deja vu here, you should. These are all basically... You have your general Shadows creature, which is lower in power with elusive, and then it matches up with the Lyco, Dino, whatever it might be, from, well, like we've seen in all the other houses. There is very much a pattern to these cards. Dark Wave is an action card with an amber bonus that deals 2 damage to each non-mutant creature. So like I said, where there is actually a difference between mutants and non-mutants. If you're playing a largely mutant deck and your opponent isn't, yay! If you're playing a largely non-mutant deck and your opponent's mostly playing mutants, boo! This is going to be amazing in some decks and garbage in others. Francis the Economist, 3 power, 0 armor with skirmish. If you start the fight, you take no damage. And when you fight, each player gains an amber. And this one is incredibly risky. Remember, you need to survive the fight in order for the skill to work, but also remember, skirmish means you are guaranteed to survive the fight. The biggest issue with this is, if you are behind in the game, you can't play it. If you're ahead in the game, this will get you further ahead and it'll give your opponent a boost, but it doesn't really matter. But if you are behind in the game, you're giving your opponent a boost and you're not getting any closer to them. You're gaining more amber, but they're keeping the same distance. Look over there! Is a new action card. I know I made that joke last time I looked at this card, and I'll make it next time I look at this card. And I'm not even upset about that. I'm not embarrassed. I feel nothing but pride. When you play it, you deal 2 damage to a creature, and if they are not destroyed, you steal an amber. Now, of course, we've seen plenty of cards like this in the past from Shadows. Like, for instance, Nerve Blast that lets you steal an amber, and if you do, you deal 2 damage to a creature. And Relentless Whispers, where you deal 2 damage to a creature, and if they are destroyed, you steal an amber. So, Relentless Whispers, you only get it if they are destroyed. Whereas this, you only get it if they're not destroyed. Now, it is worth noting that Relentless Whispers does actually come along with a natural amber bonus. But the reason for that is, if you're dealing 2 damage, it is actually harder to destroy a creature than it is to not destroy a creature. So I suppose that explains it. Mutant CUTPURSE is a 3 power, 0 armor creature, and it doesn't have any skills, but it brings in 3 damage enhancements. That is to say, 3 damage icons will be randomly distributed amongst the cards in your deck, and when you play the cards, for every damage enhancement on it, you get to deal 1 damage to one of your opponent's creatures. We've already seen that Sanctum love their capture enhancements, and we've already seen the logos love their draw enhancements. There are a few damage enhancements in here, though it's not quite as obvious as the other houses. Opportunist is an upgrade. It gives you an amber bonus, and it gives the creature to which it is attached elusive. The first time they are attacked each turn, nothing happens. You have to break the elusive, and then you have to attack them. And when you play, this creature captures 1 amber from its opponent. So you gain an amber, and you gain elusive, and you capture an amber. And yes, sure, when your opponent destroys a creature that captured it, they get the amber back. But when they destroy the creature, this is really good. I like this a lot. Rad Penny is a 1 power, 0 armor creature. It is also the mutant version of Bad Penny. When you play it, you steal an amber. Yes, love it. Just like we saw with Urchin and Bonithing. And when it is destroyed, you shuffle Rad Penny into your deck. So Rad Penny is going to be coming out more and more often. This is awesome. You steal an amber every time you play it, and if your opponent doesn't destroy Rad Penny, you sit there reaping turn after turn, or you just fight and destroy her anyway. And if she does get destroyed, she shuffles into your deck, meaning that she's going to come out quicker than she otherwise would. Love it. Speaking of cards I love, Shoulder Id. 6 power, 0 armor. Very beefy for a Shadows creature. With Taunt, which means you cannot attack either of its neighbours. You have to attack it. And Shoulder Id cannot fight. But when it would deal damage, you steal 1 instead. I.e., every time your opponent attacks Shoulder Id, you don't deal any damage back to them. They deal to you. You don't deal to them. But you steal an amber. But you cannot attack Shoulder Id's neighbours, you've got to attack Shoulder Id, so you can't even avoid it by just attacking other creatures. Absolutely love this one. This one's going to get annoying. Sartalotto is a 1 power, 0 armor creature, and when you play it, your opponent discards a random card from their hand. This is one of those cards that I like to refer to as aggressively fine. It's incredibly weak, bit of hand disruption, but not very much. Tempting Offer is an action card that gives you an amber bonus, and it brings a capture enhancement into your deck. Remember, there is no steal enhancement, so this is as close as you're going to get, unfortunately, with Shadows. And so that means one of the cards in your deck will have that on. And when you play it, you return an enemy creature to its owner's hand, but if you do, your opponent gains an amber. Now remember, you're already gaining an amber when you play it, but basically you put a creature back into your opponent's hand, but you give them an amber to do so. If they've got a really good play skill, no. But if they're a creature that you don't want on the field, this is going to be awesome. Something like an Ember Imp, for instance, turn off that skill. Do remember that when they play a creature, it is going to be exhausted, so it's going to be at least 2 turns before they can use that creature again, though something like Ember Imp does have a permanent skill. Vandalize gives you an Amber bonus, and when you play it, you look at the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck, you discard 1, and put the others back in any order. Hopefully this will be a really good way for you to make sure your opponent doesn't draw into what they want to. If there's a really good card you don't want them to draw, like Doorstep to Heaven, hopefully this will allow you to stop them getting it. Borrow is an action card with an Amber bonus, and when you play it, you take control of an enemy artifact, and then it belongs to the House Shadows. Cool. This is good. Artifact control is really good. There are certain artifacts that will completely and utterly wreck your entire game, so having artifact control like this can be absolutely huge. Boss ZAREK is a free power 0 armor creature, and you put 3 capture enhancements onto your cards when Boss ZAREK comes in. That's really good. But also, each friendly creature with Amber on it gains elusive. Remember, if Amber's on a creature and your opponent destroys that creature, they get the Amber back, so they're going to want to destroy that creature. But now, every creature with Amber on has elusive, so you've got to attack that creature twice to take it down. That is going to be significantly more difficult. Lucky Dice is an artifact that gives you an Amber bonus, and it's got an Omni ability, meaning it can be activated regardless of which houses you're active. You destroy Lucky Dice, and during your opponent's next turn, friendly creatures cannot be dealt damage. That is all friendly creatures. Yeah, you've got to destroy the artifact to do it, and yeah, this is one of those ones that your opponent could maybe take control of using Borrow, which would not be a good thing. But you get protection for all of your creatures next turn. That's ridiculous. Speaking of cards I really like, Miasma Bomb. It's an artifact, and it brings in a damage enhancement into your deck. And it's got an action, must be a Shadow's turn. You destroy Miasma Bomb, and your opponent skips the Forge a Key step during their next turn. It is literally Miasma, but because it's an artifact, you can leave it on your field, waiting till the perfect time to activate it. But again, if your opponent's got something like Borrow, you need to be super careful that your opponent doesn't use it against you. Ransack is an action card. When you play it, you steal an Amber and discard the top card of your deck. If that card is a Shadows card, trigger this effect again. Yeah. We like stealing. This one could be really, really good. And we'll have to wait for the ruling, but I believe the effect is steal 1 Amber, discard the top card of your deck. If this card is a Shadows card, trigger this effect again. So you could potentially play this to steal, hypothetically, 11 Amber. You can have 12 Shadows cards in your deck, so if you play this and the next 11 cards are all Shadows, in theory you could steal 11 Amber. It will almost certainly never happen in any game ever, but it's a fun thing to think about. Reckless RIZZO is a 1 power 0 armor creature with elusive, and it's got an action that steals 2 Amber, but then you give up the elusive. But you steal 2 Amber, and you only give up the elusive once you've stolen the 2 Amber. To be honest with you, there's a decent chance you never get to the action because your opponent is going to go after Reckless RIZZO the moment it hits the field. But if they can't get rid of it but first, you're stealing 2 Amber. And yeah, fine, you're a 1 power creature at that stage that has lost elusive, so you're literally just a 1 power creature, at which point you're almost certainly just being taken down. But you've already stolen 2 Amber. Safe House is an artifact with an Amber bonus, and it lets you archive a friendly creature from play. Which is nice. Archive something like Rad Penny, for instance, so that on your next Shadow's turn, you bring her out, play her down, boom, steal an Amber. Job's a good un. Clearly, this is something that combos better with good play skills. The SHADOWSMITH is a 3 power 0 armor creature, and each mutant gains elusive. Very, very much worth pointing out. It says each creature, not each friendly creature. So it will help your opponent as well, but as you've seen going through this video, a lot of shadows are mutants in mass mutation. And that makes sense. The Dark Amber is out there. Shadows steal Amber, so they've stolen more of the Dark Amber, and they're more likely to be exposed to it. Shadows is a very mutant-heavy house in this set. And this is just another card that helps mutants. Doom Sigil is an artifact that says that each creature gains poison, but if there are no creatures in play, you destroy Doom Sigil. Now, poison is a weird kind of card here. Well, it's not really a card, is it? It's an effect, a keyword. Because we have not seen many creatures with poison. In fact, in the entirety of the first 4 sets, we have seen exactly 6 creatures with poison. 6! That's it! In 4 sets. We're averaging 1.5 creatures with poison per set. But poison says if you deal any damage whatsoever, you destroy the creature you're fighting. It's really good, but it gives it to each creature. So your opponent's creatures will also have poison. I suppose this is really good in a situation where your creatures are much less valuable than your opponents. Because make no mistake about it, this is just going to lead to anarchy. But if you're into that, this is the card for you. Just remember, it might stay there for the whole game, so even if it looks like a really good play this turn, it might not be a good play 4 turns down the line. Johnny Longfingers is coming along here. 4 power, 0 armor. Each friendly mutant creature gains destroyed, steal an amber. And this is just out and out phenomenal. Every time a friendly mutant goes down, shadows or not, it's not just for shadows, you steal an amber, but it doesn't boost your opponent's creatures. It boosts your out-of-house creatures without boosting your opponent's creatures. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, yes. So in favour of this one. One of the best cards in the house. Liam Say is a 3 power, 0 armor creature with elusive, and at the start of your turn you may deal 1 damage to a creature. Now, bearing in mind with stuff like Johnny Longfingers around, you might legitimately want to destroy your own creatures using this to steal amber, or just take over your opponent's creatures. And it just works. And it's not at the start of your Shadow's turn. Every single turn, Liam Say is just dealing a damage to something. It's beautiful. Mastermindy, or Mastermindy. I guess we'll never know. 2 power, 0 armor with elusive. At the end of your turn, you put a scheme counter on Mastermindy. What's a scheme counter, I hear you ask? Well, it's got an action that removes each scheme counter from Mastermindy and lets you steal 1 damage for each scheme counter removed this way. This is a skill-intensive card. There's also a bit of luck here, I suppose, but this is all about prediction. Because if you can leave Mastermindy out for 6 turns, and again, it is at the end of every turn, not just the Shadow's turn, you get 6 scheme counters, then you use the action and steal 6 amber. Beautiful. But if you've got 7 scheme counters on and your opponent destroys Mastermindy, nothing happens. It's probably Mastermindy, isn't it? This has the potential to be a phenomenal card. However, if you wait too long, it will basically do nothing. Mole is an upgrade with an amber bonus, and this creature gains, your opponent may spend amber on this creature as if it were in their pool. A very weird, complicated, awkward card, but essentially what you do is you put it on one of your opponent's creatures that has either captured amber or exalted to get amber on, and then you can spend that amber as if it was just in your pool to forge a key. So this is very much an upgrade to go on your opponent's creatures. Love it. Pincerator is an artifact with an amber bonus, and at the end of each turn, you deal 1 damage to each flank creature. And it is each flank creature, not each enemy flank creature. So be super careful with that one, would ya? Shadowsaurus is a 5 power, 1 armor creature, dinosaur. Yeah, that's right, a non-saurian dinosaur. How cool is that? And it's pretty beefy as well, but then again, dinosaurs generally tend to be. And it's got an action that moves each amber from an enemy creature to your opponent's pool. But if there was at least one amber on that creature, you take control of it, and while under your control, it belongs to House Shadows. So you find one of your opponent's creatures with amber on, from capturing, from exalting, etc. Again, this is basically a Saurian creature that defected to Shadows, so we would expect some kind of amber on it skill. And yes, they take all that amber and move it to their pool, which is a good thing, but you get to keep that creature then. I mean, maybe Deicillus? Because let's face it, right, your opponent, if they're playing Saurian, they may well have Deicillus, and if they're playing Deicillus, it captures all of your opponent's amber, so there is going to be amber on it. Again, if there's too much, it all goes to their pool, it's too risky. But as long as Deicillus only has a little bit of amber on it, you let your opponent have the amber, and you take Deicillus. Sounds like fun to me, ladies and gentlemen. Sounds like fun to me. And finally, Splinter, a 1 power, 0 armor creature that really does have some similarities with that other Splinter. And it brings 6 damage enhancements into your deck. 6! There are 6 extra damage being done by your cards by virtue of Splinter being in this deck. That is ridiculous. That is more than we usually see. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are all the new Shadows cards from Mass Mutation, and there are some really, really good ones here. Cards like Mole and Splinter are incredibly interesting, but then cards like Johnny Longfingers comes along, and it's just redonk, ladies and gentlemen. Just redonk. But I'd like to know what you think about these, and of course, I would very much like to know your favourite of these, so let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk Keyforge and a whole bunch of other games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.